software available in the computer. The software, remember, it's a plural word. We talked about the system software and the application software. Regarding the system software, we presented the capabilities that the CPU presents to us, and due to the advanced technology, we are talking about multi-core processes, multi-core architectures. And what we see in front of us now, two models, actually three models. Two, they are multi-core, which they are enhancing the multiprocessor and the parallel processor. And one old model, which is a single core processor. The three of them, they do the same task, but see the time frame. The first one, actually, the one core processor, almost takes the double time of the CPU that enhances the multiprocessor, or the double time of the CPU that enhances the parallel processor. So there is a clear conclusion that the multiprocessor the multi-core is an enhancement in technology, and it is enhancing the capabilities of computers. Thus, the capabilities of operating systems, the system software. From other technologies that we see that they enhance the work of computers, and they are supported due to the system software. And those are functionalities of the system software actually that it supports is the virtual memories. We know what is a RAM, we know what is a hard disk. Those are two storage devices. The RAM is the volatile one. It stores the data that has to be displayed to us when in real time. The hard disk, actually, it is to store the data permanently, once for all. Each has its role. Yet, remember the RAM has a limit, and it is a small memory. It's not a big memory when we compare it to the hard disk. Its role mainly is to help us display what we need to use for processing or for work. We open a slide, so it would be put on the RAM. We want to write a text, it would be put also on the RAM. You want to make an exam, an online exam, it would be put on the RAM also. So the RAM, it is for work only. The space is limited somehow. Thus, a technology has been set that the operating system or the system software enhances, given the title virtual memory, which is to use a portion from the hard disk and to make the system understand that this is a part to be belonging to the RAM. Once needed, only once needed, the system will utilize it to help the RAM store in. Means data will be like what we see in this graph here, will be passed from the RAM, and the system will read it to help the RAM read it again to finalize its processing. So pages loaded to the RAM might needs more rooms to be stored to finalize what the processor is trying to do as process. The extra space required will be taken from the hard disk, and the data will be sent to the hard disk. Okay. Well, the processor needs what has been stored in this reserved area in the hard disk. Remember, I used the word reserved area, not anywhere at the hard disk. Once the processor needs this portion of data stored in this reserved area, the hard disk, he will call it back to the RAM, and we continue his processor and we finish the processing question. It is said virtual memory. The reserved part, the reserved area in the hard disk. And this technology, it is because of the insufficiency in space in the RAM. So the RAM is not enough to finalize what the computer is trying to process, what the processor, the CPU, the microprocessor is trying to finalize. So you see the words I'm using: processor, computer, microprocessor. All of them in this context, they mean the process and activity manager, let's say, or the component responsible for terminating the process. While the computer is something, the processor, we designed it to be a professional and to be dedicated to, let's say, big businesses, as per the definition. So the microprocessor is for personal computers. Another technology, the system software enhanced, the spooling or the buffering. The RAM is not utilized only for storing data. Amongst the tasks is to store the data itself. Here, actually, if I to make you understand more, the slide we see in front of us now, the mouse moving now, it's sort of a data stored in the RAM, but there are things actually related to those resources what we use, the names or the let's say, as per the example of the mouse, the position and the movement, the events happening because of the mouse. There are variables. Also, they are stored in the RAM, but not in the same area where the data is stored. The data used, the space used for storing the data is nominated buffer or spool. Spool, buffer. Buffering or spool, taking the data to the data area inside the RAM. No more, no less. So this RAM here, it is to store the data. Yes, it is for it is a volatile memory to hold whatever we are using in real time. Okay, what we use in real time, it is not only what we see. The processor to make us see those slides or whatever he use. He uses other details. Also, he stores them inside the RAM. So the RAM is subdivided into parts, plural. Actually, technically, there are 6 parts. But the area which we are defining, what we are concerned about, is the buffer or the spool. What is it? Is the area designated to store data that we see as end users. Actually, what the software program, they actually the software applications or software programs, they are actually using to make us as end users visualize whatever we need. Buffer and spool, buffering and spooling. Versions. I asked you at the beginning of this class the difference and the concern about bringing in new and implementing new versions, distributions of system software. The early versions of the Windows-based platforms was a command line operating systems, and here we are talking about the CLI-based operating system. See what I'm writing. CLI OS. It's a shortcut. CLI, command line interface. OS operating system. So the very early versions of the operating systems that the Microsoft has brought to life was a command line based, something like this. It uses orders to do whatever you need. There were only an output device and a keyboard to just pass the command or the order or something like that, because this is all what we need at that time. What we see today is something similar to this one. Actually, at the date of the writing of this book, the Windows 8 was the released operating system. We talk about the GUI, and you remember the processors that they enhance the GUI. We defined them in unit number 2. The graphical user interface based operating systems. They give us visual components to understand and to interact with the virtual environment. So what we see here is not what we see here. Here we can understand, we can see colors even, and we can recognize whatever we need. According to the availabilities here, we can decide which option we need, which function we need, which tool we need, which actually order we want to pass to the computer. But here, no. Here, actually, only if you recognize exactly what is the input. We will see the details of this CLI just in a while. We have only one input, but here, no. We have more than one input. Here, in the CLI, we have only one input place. And here we have more than one. We'll define them. Great. We'll present the distributions and the versions of the operating systems. The startup actually is not from the early versions. We talk about the personal computer that has to be equipped with a personal operating system. It is said to be desk operating system or desktop operating system. It is the one we use, like the one I'm using now, or like the one you use in your computer, in your personal computer. It is to only run and govern one device. The other version, the other distribution, the other operating system type is the server-based. We define the unit number 2 and the unit number 1 also, the networks and the remote work. Actually, how it happens because of different architectures. Most of them the client-server architecture, which uses the architecture uses a server to do some tasks into within the network and to serve clients remotely. In the sense of the server is an operating system at the end of the day, but it works to serve services over a network. It is a computer. It is an operating system to be installed on a computer, but it has different tasks to do. Not like the desktop operating system to make you run the Word and the Excel and the PowerPoint or the internet or some things like that for your personal purposes. No, there are different purposes here, but still it's an OS. It's an operating system still. Exactly what I was saying. Other model, the mobile-based or the embedded operating systems. I believe that you are using smartphone. What does it mean smartphone? Can you define? The first definition to give is that it is equipped with an OS. It is equipped with an OS. What does it mean equipped with an OS? It means a powerful tool to give you the chance to explore the deep capability of the hardware. Thus, it is a smart device. Embedded operating systems, like the one we see in the car. Your car is equipped with an onboard operating system.
Okay, so
what does it do? It manages what the car can do, the electronic parts of the car. So it is an embedded operating system. Why it's embedded? Because it's built in, and you cannot have the chance to reinstall it or to delete it. Something like it's built in, it's embedded. A task, a job that you can go from a client to until you finalize your job, but within a network. Here talk about, as per an example, mainly about sharing a printer and sending a print command over the network. Let's take the example of our university. How many works and how many offices there are available. Hundreds. Are we going to give a printer to each office, to each computer? No, it's too costly. And we cannot do that, even technically, because the number is huge. It's huge. We are not able to link a computer to a printer. Every computer to a printer, a printer to a computer. No, it's not feasible. Thus, we use the network technology, which is to give a shared printer to every group of users. Every department or whatever group of users, we give them one printer to share. How? Using the network. Yes. So let's discuss. Let's explain and explore this feature of printer. So a command that you do, which is to send a print, to send actually a document for print. How it happens? The job has to be launched from your side. An application software has to receive your command, like the Microsoft Word. Remember, the first interface that you, as a user, interact with is the application software. And this application software will interact with the OS, the operating system. And this OS will interact with the driver, which is the shell, the cover, that has the solution to your job. In this case, it's the print. And this shell will transmit to the network. So a command will be passed from you as a client to the software. The software will send it to the operating system. The operating system will send it to the server, to the network. And this passed to the server through the shell, actually, which is a driver that understands what is the command is.
So the creating report should be there.
This server will recognize your command and will send actually your command to the queue. We put it, we insert it, we set it into a queue, and you'll wait for your order, for your turn. Because remember, the printer, you are not the unique one, you are using it inside the network. All of the users inside the network, they are using that. If you are the first, you'll be served the first. Otherwise, you just wait for the order until the printer finishes the job. Your turn will come. It's a sequential order only. And this way, all the activities inside the network works similarly. Operating systems also, they are enhancing hardware technologies. Remember that the CPUs, they are also with different models, different distributions. The multi-core is one of the very famous up-to-date architectures CPUs in-house. 32-bit and 64 bits, they are another technology that the CPUs in-house. The operating systems, they do understand all. There are versions actually to be compatible with. Means not any operating system goes with all architectures. No. Specific operating system goes with specific CPU architecture. So an operating system is compatible with specific hardware. But whatever the hardware technology is, there is an operating system that do understand and they can run on that specific technology. Other technologies that we can see are enhanced due to new features, and new advancement, and new versions, and new implementations, new, let's say, ameliorations, updates of the operating systems. Virtualization context means we are going to go off from the hard environment. I can create a network, a full network, made up of 2 computers, 100 computers, 10 computers. Depends. There are constraints, but it's a network inside a one device. We are talking about virtualization. Also, remember the buses we presented in unit number 2. There are new models and new architectures via which the data are passed through the buses. To talk about system buses, even we are not only talking about data buses. System buses, they are buses that they are responsible for making data pass through the motherboard from two different components related to the motherboard also. Operating systems, they are integrated to new, very smart devices, like the mobiles, with very and extreme proficiency and extreme technical capabilities. There are other concerns that the operating systems do take care of. The security as a concern. Remember the cache level 3. The register as a memory inside the CPU to make the CPU calculate and compute faster, and so on. So there are technologies that the operating systems do go after for the better moderation, so better serving and users and making the process faster, make the process in plural much more convenient and serving clients at the end of the day as they wish. Okay, simple. Another model of computers equipped with dedicated operating systems. We are talking about an internet monitor, which is a device like the graph we see here. It's just to browse and serve the internet for activities, applications through the internet only. There is no CPU. There is no central processing unit. There is no case aside. Only a monitor and a connectivity to the internet. That's it. We may have a settings configuration, let's say interface. It might be secured also with a password also. But the main purpose is to use applications served through the internet. We talk about internet monitor.
The other information should not gather the other information.
Okay.
If I have,
we were talking about the client line interface or CLI, command line, interface.
I should not have
the CLI based operating system. The CLI based operating system, technically it is nominated DOS. We're talking about the Windows based CLI OS, DOS disk operating system. It is the black screen that we presented earlier. It is a command line interface, means it's an interface via which you just pass commands in plural. But one only per time. You pass the command number 1, then the command number 2, then command number 3, and so on, one after the other. Not all of them at the same time. This is the feature of this. This is the limitation that this does have. There are versions. Actually, the first one was from the beginning of the 80s, 82, I remember, until the early 90s. Then after came the graphical one, the Windows based. Good. Let me come back. We talk about PC-DOS, personal computer DOS, which is integrated in the IBM devices. IBM, the International Business Machines. They are at the beginning dedicated to research and dedicated business activities. There are a variety of fields. And then after came the MS-DOS, which is actually compatible with personal computers. It is actually enhancing the Microsoft environment. Microsoft, I insist, Microsoft environment, because it was the first version given to public, to the community. Okay. An interface to make us see what is this CLI. Remember, I told you that we can pass only command at a time. See here, this is one command. We execute it. then we execute the next command, we execute, and so on. We have only one input at a time, whatever the command is. But remember that we have an interface similar to this, and we pass a command after the other in order to finalize the task. This is the DOS actually. This is the DOS that the Windows is enhanced. Command prompt. It is up to now still valid. Up to now we can utilize for different purposes. The early graphical based operating system was actually released with 85. Then after came the Windows 95. Actually, here we talk about Windows 1.0, and up to Windows 3, we were talking about the command-based mainly. It is the dominant operating system. Then came the very early publicly distributed operating system, which is the 95. Then after the Windows 98, this is 1995, reference by the year. And this is 1998, reference by year. Then after, at the same time, in the same period, the Windows Millennium, Windows ME, Windows Millennium. Actually, those are all for personal computers, and they are graphical-based operating systems. These are for personal computers. I'll stop at this level. We continue next class, inshallah. Any questions?
Okay.
أستاذ
يس خليفة.
أستاذ لو سمحت بس بخصوص الفيديو الأسايمنت ترسل لك إياه على الإيميل؟
No, through the